Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Can I Talk to Your Grandma? Or if you have not met, I am Sarah. I'm the host. I absolutely love doing this show. It is such a passion project for me. And today we have such a special guest. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you to meet Sandra. She was a contestant on the first season of The Golden Bachelor, and she, on the show came through so funny and so full of life and joy and just so hilarious. And then she was exactly the same in person or in our interview over Zoom, which was so fun. It was just such a joy to get to know her and learn from her. She's been on a lot of other podcasts and she's talked at length about her experience on The Golden Bachelor. So I kind of intentionally wanted to ask her more about her life and growing up and her daughters and just other things that we hadn't learned as much about other places. But I do have all of those shows linked in the show notes, descriptions, everywhere. So please go check them out. The other host did a wonderful job asking her all about the show, and you can learn all about them in those other places. But I just felt like we'd covered it, so let's talk about other stuff. Also, speaking of not other game shows, but we're getting to that. Speaking of other podcast episodes, Sandra was on 2 game shows. She was on the Newlywed game and Wheel of Fortune. At about minute 15 in this interview, I go, oh my God, so should we talk about your experience on the dating game and Jeopardy? And I'm like, I did my research. I did so much research and I still got it wrong. But she was very gracious about it. And anyway, so just know that I knew, but that's showbiz, I guess. We make mistakes, we keep on rolling. I don't really know. I also want to say she won $30,350 in 1988. And I just wanted to do the math because we were talking about it. Today, in 2025, that would be $82,878.33, which is crazy. Anyway, also people have been sending in their grandma stories. I'm going to kick off with sharing those on the podcast next week. So stay tuned. And this will be a part 1, part 2. So we're going to talk a lot about her life. We're going to start to talk about the show this week, and then next week come back for the rest of the episode, the rest of our conversation. So anyway, I cannot wait for you to meet Sandra. She's so fun. She's so wonderful. I know you're going to love her so much, and let's get into it. Good. Awesome. Yay, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining me, Sandra, on Can I Talk to Your Grandma? This is such an honor for me as a Golden Bachelor fan. This is going to be fun.
Oh, well, it's an honor for me that you even asked, so thank you.
Of course. I was like, I saw you on the show, and I was like, I think we'd be friends. And then I saw your thrift shopping post and learned about your store, and then I was like, now I really, really, really want to be friends.
Does that mean you're a thrifter?
I am. I'm addicted. I'm at Goodwill entirely too much.
Wow, that's cool.
I
do go to Goodwills, but my endeavor in that is to source or have the resource for my store.
Yeah. How did you get into that store?
Well, okay, when I first retired, of course, I needed something to do. And so I thought, I'm going to sell things on eBay. So I started with things around my own house. And then when I depleted that, it's not the truth. But when I got tired of those things, I started shopping at thrift stores, at auctions, at yard sales and things like that. And I met a lady. So I started doing eBay. So I met a lady who ran a thrift store. And so we got to talking and she said, well, what do you do with these things you buy? And I said, well, I sell on eBay. So she said, there's a place I think you might be interested in. And she told me all about the location where I am now, which is Chamblee, Georgia. So, and what their business model is. And it's like a dealer's mall. Okay, they rent spaces to people like me, and I staff put my inventory in my space, and I manage my space in terms of dusting and moving merchandise around. And the beauty of it is I go there, manage my space, and then I leave because they staff the store, so I don't have to stand there and sell things and wait for someone to whatever. Although I do enjoy being there when customers come in because it does give me an opportunity to talk about some of my product. And since I've been on the show, I get a chance to talk about moi.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it's everyone's dream to go in when you're in there and get to meet you and talk to you.
And you know what? I really met some really nice people just by doing that. And I have in my space my a GB picture, the press picture that they took for me.
Beautiful
So
picture.
yeah, that's all. Thank you. It's a lure. And people say, well, what's that? Or they say, oh, you're that lady was on that show. And so it kind of inspires that conversation.
Yeah,
So
they're like, I'm going to circle back and look at everything one more time in your booth
yeah,
now.
they do. And so that generated some sales that way, which is cool. Actually, it
That's perfect.
generates sales for the whole store. It's not just my space, but
I was going to
it's
say,
a great.
I've been listening to your podcast and it sounds like you plug it. And I'm sure then people are like, oh, I would love to go check it out. Like, I bet it all works together.
You know what? It's really a fun place to shop. And even if you don't need something for your own home or, you've got enough accessories and furniture, because they do have a consignment side that sells very nice furniture. It's not a flea market and it's not a thrift store, but it's not high-end, crazy expensive either. It's just got things that you don't find at Rooms to Go and Macy's and that kind of thing. But it's a great gift store. And you can go in there, and if you're looking for a wedding gift, birthday gift, Mother's Day, Father's Day, even holiday, Christmas gift, hey, that's the place to go. You will find something that you cannot find at Target.
Right. That you probably can't find anywhere else. I love to throw crazy themed parties, and I was looking for pirate stuff recently at a bunch of different thrift stores, and I was like, I need it to be a little rustic and interesting in a way that Target's not gonna get me there,
or Party City.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Party City. I find that the beauty of this store is there's 130 dealers like me,
Mm-hmm.
and so what you get is 130 different personalities or perspectives, or like one dealer will have vintage, another will have antique, one will have contemporary. I have quirky because I'm quirky. So really things that just are odd, but fun odd. And then you'll have those who are mid-century modern. Anyway, it's a variety of things to buy and behold. And
I love it.
We get buyers from out of state. We get buyers from the movie industry is big down here, as you probably heard.
There's a lot in Atlanta, right?
So we get a lot of set decorators here, and they're great customers because they shop without budgets. They walk in and say, okay, I want that, and I'll take that, and I'll take that, and they don't ask prices. They've got big budgets. So
that's the
they're
dream.
looking for period pieces that can accommodate a movie set or a television set or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, totally. I love that so much. And I love Atlanta. One of my best friends, I went to school in Memphis and met one of my best friends that lives in Atlanta. And so I was just visiting her a month ago. That's where you are now, right? Right. I love it there. And you were born in Atlanta?
I actually was born in Atlanta, but I didn't grow up here. I came back here 24 years ago. But I was born at, my parents were Morehouse and Spelman students.
Okay, yeah.
And so they, but when they graduated, they moved to California, moved west. They wanted to not raise their family in Jim Crow South. And it was bad. I'm 77. We're talking 77 years ago, which was a completely different Atlanta, different South.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I grew up in San Francisco.
Wow.
And thus, went to Cal Berkeley, because you mentioned that earlier. And So
I love that.
I decided to come back here because the South was different, and I wanted my daughter to experience this and have this background, this experience.
Yeah. Had both of your parents grown up in Atlanta or in Georgia?
I think my mom grew up in Montgomery, Alabama. My dad was an Atlanta native. Yeah. So, and then he was in the Army as well. And somehow he landed right back here in Atlanta and went to Morehouse. And that's where my parents met. And
amazing.
Their romance budded. And
I love that. What were they like, your parents?
Smart. My dad was an attorney. My mother was so smart. My mother had a bachelor's degree in biology, not her daughter's. She had 3 master's degrees and a PhD. She loved academia. If she wasn't taking classes, she was teaching classes. And then later on, when she retired, she taught seminars in the corporate world, team building, types of things. She just loved academia. So
Wow.
if she lived longer, she'd probably have yet another degree.
Yeah, I'm sure. Were all of her degrees in like the sciences?
Yes, but social sciences,
Okay.
like human behavior, psychology, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Only her undergrad was in biology. And let me tell you something, she had kids that didn't want to touch bugs. We were kind of afraid of bugs. And my mom would eat chocolate covered grasshoppers. Nothing about that world intimidated her. Slicing up a frog or what. Not her kids.
I know you're not in the sciences, but the fearlessness and the bravery and everything, I think, definitely came down to you.
Yeah, that's more me than my mom. Although my mom would, of course, teach classes. My mom taught kindergarten, elementary, middle school. They used to call junior high school, college. She just taught.
Wow.
That was her thing.
She just loved to learn. What a fascinating lady.
I know she was. And just smart. Oh.
Sounds like it. Sounds like they both were.
Yeah, they were.
So what
genes?
Yes, you definitely do. What was it like growing up in San Francisco would it have been the 60s? I think when you were in college there?
Yeah, I graduated from high school in 66. And, San Francisco at that time was obviously a very different environment. It was very safe because I got a great education, great high school. We could leave our bicycles out on the sidewalk or parked in front of the house all night. Nobody ever bothered them. Huh. Of course, it was a Leave It to Beaver world. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I know we have a generational gap here, but
I'm doing enough of these interviews that I'm starting to pick up on some references I may not have gotten earlier.
Right.
I'm trying, but it's been a lot of fun. So then you went to UC Berkeley, and what did you study when you were there?
I studied social welfare and psychology.
Okay.
And had to take what they call breadth requirements, BREADTH, which means I did have some science. And I did have things that did not include psychology and English and those kinds of things. I had to take a funny little story. My mom wanted me to be a pharmacist. So we enrolled me in chemistry. Well, high school chemistry is a little bit different than college chemistry. Okay. I struggled through that class like you would not believe. We had to do pH logarithms and math that was science oriented. And of course, the periodic table of the elements, memorize memorize details about the elements. Oh my God. I had an instructor or a teaching assistant. That's kind of the way they did classes back then. They big lecture halls, and then you break down in small groups, and a teaching assistant would then be the group leader. Okay. And my teaching assistant was from South Korea. And toward the end of the quarter, we were on a quarter system, not a semester system. He announced one day that he felt guilty because he didn't think his English was up to par, that no one in his class would fail. So I got a D in that class. Talk about being grateful. Oh my God. Because I was failing. Chemistry in the college level it wasn't me. And anyway, I got a D. The only D I ever got in high school and college ever in my life. And I was grateful for a D. Because
you're like, I'll take it. Get me out of here.
Because I was failing. I really was. I was way in over my head. And so anyway, I did change majors. Yeah.
I'm sure your mom is like, what happened?
She was disappointed, but I think she understood. When I told her that story, she understood.
She's like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah. Her daughter was not going to be a pharmacist. Yeah.
Why a pharmacist in particular? That's so specific.
That's a grand idea. When I was in high school, I did work for a dear friend of hers who owned a pharmacy. Oh, okay. And I worked for him, but just at the register and stocking the shelves. And, that was just a high school summer job. And I don't know, somehow she got her, maybe he told her I should, I don't know, or don't remember.
Yeah.
And so somehow she wanted me to be a farm assistant.
Who knows? Man,
I
so
was a
funny.
disappointment to my mom more than one time. So
I bet you were a lot of fun to have as a daughter, though, too.
maybe so. But I was well behaved. The worst thing my sister and I ever did as kids, the most juvenile delinquent behavior we had was Halloween, and we would take our screwdrivers with us. We had a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver, and we would literally, from houses that no one looked like no one was there, or they were asleep, we would screw the address, a number, off an address on someone's home, and take those and put them on our bulletin board. Our bulletin board was full of metal numbers of different sizes and shapes and fonts. And
That's so funny.
That's the extent to my juvenile delinquency. And so I think I can say that without my kids getting angry or whatever.
I'm sure they wouldn't. That's you had to really be a MacGyver of a kid to be like, we're going to bring both kinds of screwdriver. We're going to be prepared for anything. That's so funny. So you weren't a rebellious kid beyond the screwdriver antics.
We were goody two shoes, really.
Yeah.
We're active in student government, and we were good kids.
Yeah.
But it was a damn good school district. San Francisco had good schools, funded schools. Well, hey, when I grew up, you never had to buy paper and pencils, and all you had to have was a binder, or something we called a peachy. Now, your other grandmothers will know what a peachy is. You don't know. It's kind of like a trapper keeper. But do you know what a trapper keeper is?
I'm so sorry. I don't know that either.
Oh, this is a real generation gap. Anyway, it was folders that you put papers in both sides, but they called them peachies, and then later on, when my daughter was in high school, they called them trapper keepers. But there was no such thing as backpacks. We had to carry our books in our arms like this, 4 or 5 books, one for each class, to and from school. So where was I going with that story? Oh, I was going to say that nowadays parents have to go out and buy all these supplies because it's not funded. Well, in schools, and when I grew up, all that stuff was available for you. You didn't have to take it from home to school and back again, unless you wanted something fancy cup crayons or something like that.
Sure, then you can go find it.
Different world.
Wow, I don't know. I'd never thought about that. That makes more sense. So how did you end up on? I think you were on the dating game first, right, and then Jeopardy later.
No.
Oh no, the Newlywed Game. The Newlywed Game.
Newlywed Game.
Sorry,
right.
I'm so sorry.
And Wheel of Fortune later.
What did I say? Did I say Jeopardy? Yes. So I got both the shows wrong. I promise you, I did my research.
It's okay. I am not Jeopardy worthy. I'm just not. Every now and then I get about 3 or 4 questions or answers correct on that. I love Jeopardy. I love game shows, period.
Oh, I love
I'm
that.
a game show-aholic, an HGTV-aholic, and a football-aholic. Now, those are the things that I tell you I'm stuck on.
I love it. Have you always liked football? Oh, yeah, sorry. Newlywed Game. We'll go back to the Newlywed Game. So how did you get on the Newlywed Game?
Well, I called and, wait a minute. Did I call or write a letter? I think we had to call in and make an appointment to come to Hollywood or somewhere in LA and try out. We had to pay our own money to get there. And so I told my husband, we're going on the Newlywed Game. And he said, okay. So, because of course I watched it and we went there and we tried out. And a short time later, they called and said, we'd like you to come back. They liked us. Oh. And so this was hosted or emceed by Bob Eubanks, if you remember him. Yeah. And we did okay. We tied for second place, which was kind of cool.
That
was my very first TV appearance. That was, believe it or not, that was reality TV back then. They didn't call it that. But when you think about it, that was unscripted.
Yeah. Real couples.
Real couples. That's right. Real newlywed couples.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And so then you were on Wheel of Fortune a few years later.
Yes. Well, in 1988, I think I was about 40 years old. Now, I had been a Wheel of Fortune addict for years. And that half hour every day was my time. Kids didn't bother me. Husband didn't bother me. If there was company over, they either have to watch it with me or go in another room. That half an hour was mom's time. And
Mhm.
I was a student of the game. And I loved it. And I was damn good with it too. And so my friends would say, Sandra, why don't you just go on the show? So one day, when there was such a thing as an 800 number, I called. I made a reservation to go down. I tried out. I did not make it on.
Oh.
At first tryout, I did not make it. I said, now that I know what they're doing, it was kind of like auditing a class, if you will.
Yeah.
Tried out again. They liked me because I kind of knew what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And yeah, the screening at that time was 3 phases. Are you interested in these details?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. It was 3 phases. First, they march everybody in a room that looked like a big classroom with those old wooden desks with the return all carved up and everything. And they give us some parameters, hand out these tests like hangman. And they were 15 questions. And in 15 minutes, we had to have at least 8 correct, not questions, but puzzles, hangman puzzles. Very limited letters. And they give you the clue like person, place, or thing, which were the only real categories back then.
Yeah.
And there was 110 people in that class. And when that test was over, there was 11 of us left.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, but because I studied, because I was a student of that show, I was one of those 11.
Wow.
And the second phase was to stand up and talk about yourself. Well, you can't do that.
I was going to say, really. You're prepared.
I was prepared. Yeah. And I had some fun stuff to say. And then, of course, they, all the 11 stayed there. And then the third phase was they kind of did a mock show. And they were looking for not only the 2 or 3 players that were engaged in the show. They had a little fake wheel and some letters on a board. It was just a mock environment, just to see how you're going to react. But they were also watching those in the audience to see how we would react to those. And so I was all gung-ho, cheery, energy. They were looking for energy. And they had told us ahead of time, we need energy. This is a television show. We don't want anyone to fall asleep. We need energy. So I gave them energy. A few weeks later, I was selling real estate at the time. A few weeks later, I got a call in the office, and they said at the front desk, I was in conference with some clients, and they said, sorry, we can't bother her. She's in conference. We can take a message. And the folks insisted. And so the receptionist came and got me. She said, there's a call. She said, these people are insistent. They have to talk with you. And I thought, oh my God, one of my transactions was falling apart or something. Yeah. Took the call, and it was the Wheel of Fortune producers. And they said, we would love you to come on the show. And are you interested? We have dates for you. I said, are you kidding? I'm already packed. When do you want me?
Like, I'll be there tonight. I'll do whatever you need.
Oh God, it was a brag point at that time. The clients I was with, I got to tell them. Of course, they were impressed. And what I didn't do is I didn't tell anyone in the office except my broker.
Oh,
only her, because I wanted it to be a secret and a surprise. And if I didn't do well, then I would never tell anyone, right? Yeah,
of course.
So a few weeks later, I went down to Hollywood and filmed the show. I did very well. And when I came back in our Monday morning meeting, our broker said, Sandra has an announcement to make. And typically the announcement I have a listing over here and I've got a sale here, and those were the
normal realtor announcements.
Normal business stuff, right? But I announced that I had been on a game show on TV. And I won money, and this is how much I won. And I put it backwards. I put the amount I won was $30,350. It's a shitload of money back then.
It's a lot of money.
Well, now, but back then you can imagine. Yeah. So I wrote it backwards. I wrote the 053, 03, and I did it backwards for the suspense of it. So, and they was like, ooh, and they saw the comma, So anyway, it was a fun announcement, is what it wanted.
I love the performance of it. That's so fun.
Yeah. So then I was known as not the realtor, but the wheeltor. That was my nickname. Sandra's the wheeltor.
The
Wheel of
wheeltor.
Fortune Realtor, and I use that in my marketing papers and bulletins, etc. Anyway.
So now you can be the golden wheeltor.
I guess I could.
Right.
I guess I could.
Did you do the same thing when you went on the Golden Bachelor? Did you not tell everybody in your life?
Oh no, yeah, because we weren't supposed to. I mean,
okay.
Well, during the vetting process, they asked us not to tell people. And then, of course, when I got my final, yes, we want you, it was absolutely do not tell people. Except those who are going to walk your dog, collect your mail, cut your grass, those kinds of people.
I'm sure there are lots of logistics that go into just leaving your house for multiple weeks or months. I don't know how long it all takes.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I had to prepay my bills, put all my plants in one place get my car situated. It was a lot. I had never left home for weeks at a time like that. A week on a vacation type, but never weeks at a time. So it was logistically, it was not easy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Kind of a different time frame than the other shows.
Well worth it.